Hello all, I'm Sai and you're watching The Book Dragon. In today's video, I'm bringing to you my November reading wrap-up. I can say that November was an awesome reading month for me. I managed to finish totally 18 books. I did not know that the number was very high until I sat down and started scripting this video. Most of them were ebooks and a lot of them were manga, so I was able to attain this number. I also completed 3 different series, which is amazing if you ask me. And before getting into the books, I want to tell you guys one thing. Yeah, I'm not filming in front of my bookshelves because I bought a new ring light for the channel and I just want to experiment the lighting with different angles. And the reason why I bought the ring light is because there is some renovation work that is going on the apartment upstairs and they've been continuously knocking down walls and it's always loud in the daytime and I'm not able to film in the daytime also. In the nighttime I'll not have sunlight, right? So the videos will not look good. Just in order to improve the quality of the videos and to improve the channel as a whole itself, I just made an investment and bought the ring light. So yeah, without any further ado, let's get into the books right away. Starting with the physical books, the first physical book which I finished is a non-fiction and it is Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert. I was super hyped for this book after having watched the movie and having heard amazing things about the book, but I can say that no one sold this book that great for me, okay? After having read it, I just felt like I want to meet this author and I have to have a conversation with her for at least an hour because it was that good. The main thing which I loved the most compared to anything else about this book was the writing, okay? Without that particular writing style of the author, I don't think this story would have been elevated to such a great level. Just in case if you didn't know, like me, Eat, Pray, Love is actually the memoir of the author where she spent like an entire year of her life in her early 30s after going through a very bad divorce and a huge breakup inside a relationship. She just took on this journey and went to 3 different places. The first one is Italy, the second one is India, and the last and final one is Bali. I can say that I enjoyed each and every place inside this book, and especially my most favorite part of all the 3 was the last one, which is Bali, okay? After having read this book, I just feel like I want to go to Bali and I have to spend at least 1 month there because it was really beautifully written and the author has just kindled this hope and love for food and travel inside me using this book compared to anything else that I've read before. So I completely enjoyed it and it's definitely a 5-star book for me. I'd highly recommend everyone to read this. The next one which I finished is an illustrated book and it is And the Ocean Was Our Sky by Patrick Ness, illustrated by Rowena Kai. I've actually included this on my TBR for November itself and I was sure that I will read this. But the extent to which I enjoyed this book and understood it was very deep and intense if you ask me. It is actually a book that is narrated from the point of view of a whale and not an actual person. I've actually read 3 to 4 Patrick Ness books before and I've loved each and every one of them. I had high hopes for this one also because of that and I can say that I was not at all let down. Each and every instant and page of this book was really well written, especially the 2 main characters whom we see. The first one is obviously the whale and the second one is a human being, and the conversations that these two have inside the sea, it was just so amazing. Since the world of the whales is said to be in a way that is upside down compared to that of others, it was a bit confusing at instances, but it does not spoil the entire experience of the book in any way at all. If you like dark stories which are a bit sad in tone, I'm sure you will like this. I actually read this on a rainy day when we had a storm approaching and we had a power cut throughout the day, so I just sat down and read this book completely. It was very intense and well written and well illustrated as well, so I rated this one also 5 stars. Then moving on to the series endings which I talked about, I actually said that I have read and completed 3 series in November. Of these, the first one is something which I've been reading for so long in 2021 and it is the Amber Spyglass by Philip Pullman, which is the last and final book in the His Dark Materials trilogy. I actually read the first book in March or February and the second book in August or July, and at last I picked this up in the end of October and finished it in the first 10 days of November, I think. It's a huge book, okay? This paperback copy is over 500 pages long, but in Goodreads it's not even 500 pages. This was a bit tough to get through because the author had left a lot of things that are unresolved in the first 2 books and he has tried to tie them all up together really well in this one. I can appreciate the effort, but I can say that because of that fact, it was a bit boring at instances. I've actually filmed an entire spoiler-free review for the series already. It is edited and uploaded, but I've not published it yet. I don't know whether I'll be publishing the wrap-up first or the review. If the review is already released, it will be linked down in the description. Please do check it out if you're interested. As a whole, it was a really interesting world and the magic system was super unique and different from anything that I've read. The writing was a bit difficult to understand at instances because it is very traditional, but as a whole, the concept of the series as well as the nuances that the author has provided for each and every character and the way in which he has woven things together, I really did enjoy it, but it was not as good as I wanted it to be, so I rated this one 4 stars. Next one is probably one of the best series finales that I've read so far, and I can say that the series as a whole itself was very entertaining, fast paced. It was just classic in every way if you ask me. It was totally nail biting. There were like many moments of adrenaline just pulsing through my blood, and the book that I'm talking about is A Sky Beyond the Storm by Sabaa Tahir, which is the conclusion to the Ember Quartet. I can say that while starting the first book in the series, which is An Ember in the Ashes, I thought that the books were a bit overhyped, but after crossing like 100 pages of the first book, I was able to understand why people liked that series so much. And from the second book, I was like totally hooked. I just wanted to know what is going to happen to all these three main characters. I cannot talk in depth about this book since it's the finale because I might give away spoilers, so I'm not going to go in depth. But if you're looking out for a very fast-paced, very well-written series, this is definitely one. Okay, I can just understand why people love this so much. And Sabaa Tahir is actually coming up with a new book next year called All My Rage, and I want to read that as well. It's actually in my wish list, and if I can pre-order it, I'll definitely pre-order it and read, because this series just proves how well she has written all the books and how much effort that it has taken. Everyone says that this series is very brutal when it comes to treating the characters. It is totally true. Okay, I totally enjoyed the entire series, and this is definitely a 5-star read for me. The last physical book is definitely a milestone in my reading life, and it is The Return of the King by J.R.R. Tolkien, which is the last and final book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, or the last part inside the entire Lord of the Rings story. I can say that this is the shortest of all the three books. It looks very big because it has a lot of appendix at the end, but I can say that you can totally avoid it while you're reading the actual series. But I've heard that in order to read the other books inside this world itself, it is necessary to read the appendix because it has a lot of backstory of all the different races of characters whom we see inside the series. I can say that this was a bit too slow compared to the first two books, but the last chunk of the story, it just made a mark in my mind. Okay, that is this particular thing that Tolkien does. He moves the stories in such a slow pace that you will have to spend that much time with all the main characters he's talking about, and without your knowledge itself, by the end of the book, you just feel so much connected and so much dear to those characters, and when something bad happens to them, you start feeling for them. That's exactly what happened in here. Okay, I was not able to contain some of the things which were happening in here, and I can say that I was so frustrated and so sad while reading some chunks of the book. But towards the end, everything just paid off well. It is a bittersweet ending. I'll not say that it is a completely happy ending. Of course, really good things happen towards the end, but the climax in itself, okay, I can say that the last chapter of the book was complete bittersweetness just delivered in a single chapter. So I just completely enjoyed this. I've actually not filmed the review for this one because I've not watched the third movie yet. After watching that, I'll definitely film the review so that it'll be a bit more coherent for me. So even though it was slow and a bit meandering at times, I just completely enjoyed it towards the end, and it felt very fulfilling for me. So obviously I rated this one also 5 stars. Moving on to the audiobooks, the first audiobook which I finished is definitely one of the most famous books from 2020, and it is The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. I've actually included some of the books that I'm talking about in this video in my first week's vlog, which I posted a few weeks back. I'll try to link that also down in the description. Please do check it out if you're interested. It was an entire rainy week, and each and every book that I read during that week just suited the mood really well. Especially this one. Okay, it is one of the most heartwarming books that I've ever read. There were some things which felt a bit slow in the beginning, but as the book progressed and the plot just came together, it was really awesome. It is about this guy named Linus who works for a government authority that are in charge of orphanages that take care of children with magical abilities, and he is put into a case which is very peculiar because in this orphanage there is this little guy who's actually the son of Lucifer, the devil itself, and he has to go and take care of the children in this home and just make a report ready. It seems like a sinister plot, but trust me, that child is definitely one of the cutest things that I've read about, and it was just a very fulfilling and comfy read compared to anything else. I rated this one also 5 stars. Next one is a non-fiction again, and it is 3000 Stitches by Sudha Murthy. I have actually not read any of Sudha Murthy's other books before. This is my first read from her, but I can say that I'm going to read some of her books in the future also because I liked the collection of stories in this one very much. It's actually just a collection of stories from Sudha Murthy's life itself, from her early days as well as in her middle ages and right now also. I can say that all the stories were really interesting. There were like one or two which I felt like I did not get the point of the stories and what they were actually trying to deliver here. But as a whole, the collection was really beautiful. I actually listened to the Tamil audiobook of this one available in Storytel. It is translated in Tamil as Moovairam Tayyalgal. So if you do understand Tamil, please do consider listening to that audiobook, especially the naming reason for the book, which is 3000 Stitches. When I just understood that, it just made me feel tears in my eyes because it was very touching if you ask me, and as a whole I just liked the book very much and it made me want to read more from the author, so I rated this one 4 stars. The next one is another non-fiction, and it is Creating Affluence by Deepak Chopra. I wanted to know the writing style of this author and whether his books would be to my taste or not, so I just went forward and listened to this audiobook. I can say that I was pretty much convinced because Deepak Chopra is very well known for his knowledge of combining science with spirituality and delivering it to readers. I am a person who believes in both things equally, and I think that in order to lead a very balanced and conscious life, both of these things are necessary. And if spirituality is backed up with the logic from science, I think it is a really great way to put people in the spiritual path. I believe in that very much, so I just went forward and listened to this audiobook. I cannot say that this was the best one because it is just 1 hour long, but in that 1 hour itself, it seemed like every statement that he said just rounded into the same thing that he was talking about in the beginning of the book. So I cannot say that I got that much value out of this one. His narration was really nice. As a whole, the experience was good. I did not get that much value out of it, but as a whole it was good, so I rated this one 3 stars. The last audiobook is a translated work from Japanese, and it is Hiroshima Diary by Dr. Michihiko Hachiya MD, and the book is just a journal of a doctor who made entries from ground zero when he worked with the patients while he himself was affected by the atom bomb blast inside Hiroshima, not Nagasaki, just Hiroshima alone. The journal actually has entries from the 6th of August, that is the day of the bombing, until the 30th of September. It is very grotesque and so descriptive in graphic details because the author has written down each and everything that he can observe from the patients that he has seen and the progression of the effects which have not been observed in the first day, but as the days go on, what are the things that actually manifest in the body of the people who were affected by the bomb blast. It was very useful for me and definitely one of the best non-fiction books that I've read this year, so I rated this one also 5 stars. Finally, moving on to the ebooks. This is actually half of the books which I read in November, and it is totally 9 ebooks, of which 2 are actual books and the other 7 are manga, so comparatively they are quicker reads. So the first ebook which I finished is The Secret of the Nagas by Amish Tripathi. I actually read this also in Tamil in Kindle Unlimited, and I can say that this was far better compared to the first book, which is The Immortals of Meluha. That book itself was really good, but I can say that this just blew my mind, okay? The extent to which Amish Tripathi has actually done research and delivered this world to us without actually not altering the actual facts of the story was really amazing. If this is adapted into a series or a movie, I can say that it will be very huge in scope. I've actually started reading the third book. I wanted to finish that one also in November itself, but I was not able to because it is at a rocky start for me. I'm like 30% into the third book, but I'm not enjoying it as much as I enjoyed the first 2 books, so I just want to take it slow. But this one was just amazing, and obviously I rated this one 5 stars. The next ebook is a fantasy again, and it is an adult standalone fantasy, which is Stardust by Neil Gaiman. I've actually read the illustrated edition that is also available in Kindle Unlimited itself. I'll try to drop the exact cover here so that you can find it on Kindle Unlimited if you have the subscription. I cannot say enough of how great a writer Neil Gaiman is. I've not read that many of his books, but everything that I've read from him I've completely enjoyed. This was definitely not an exception in that case, and I completely loved it. It is also adult, so please keep that in mind if you want to read it. It is a bit graphic and grotesque at times, but as a whole it is super enjoyable. If you like fantasy, I'm sure that you will love this book, and I rated this one also 5 stars. The last ebooks are the manga which I talked about, and they are the 7 volumes of Shaman King by Hiroyuki Takei from volume 5 to volume 11. I read all these volumes throughout the month, and I can say that I could have read even more. I just wanted to take some time and consume the story slowly. That's why I read them very slowly also. It's not like I'm a speed reader because these are very quick reads and you can just fly through them, at the same time enjoy them completely. I like all these characters more than anything, and the twists and the philosophy inside the series is just staggeringly good, okay? I did not expect to land in such a good series without anyone else's recommendation. By the time I'm filming this video, this is just December 1st, and I finished the 12th volume also. I started reading sometime in the morning and I had very less work today to do. So after finishing that, I just came forward and read the 1 volume. As of now, I finished 12 volumes, and my plan is to finish all the 35 volumes by the end of the year itself. I'm very much confident that I'll be able to do it. As a whole, it was very enjoyable and entertaining. It has not reached the 5-star mark yet for me, but as of now, all of the volumes that I read in November were solid 4 stars or 4.5 stars, and I can say that I am totally enjoying them, and I'd highly recommend it to anyone who's even a beginner. So yes guys, those are all the 18 books which I read in November. I cannot even believe that I'm saying that huge a number for the number of books which I read last month because it's totally awesome. I just hope that the year ends well also. If you've read any of these books, please do let me know down in the comments your views on them. And don't forget to leave your November wrap up also in the comments because I'd like to know what are the books that you've read. And if you did enjoy watching today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it to your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.